The next concept is about the debugging support. The Cortex M3 processor includes a number of debugging features such as program execution control, including halting and stepping, instruction breakpoints, data watch points, registers and memory accesses, profiling and traces. So once you go through this, the available IDE, integrated development environment for this Cortex M3 ARM processor, we have the IDE, we refer it as Keel software. So in that Keel software, we are going to find that software is designed based on this, the concept of debugging support. How we need to work on that, debug that particular chip, that is ARM chip. So in that software, we are going to find all these debugging supports. Nothing but how the program execution is going to be controlled, how we are going to add the instruction breakpoints, and how we need to observe the data or the register contents by using these watch points. Means in that software, if you go to tool and if you click on that watch window, so obviously we are going to find in the program what the number of registers or memory, what we are using that particular chip. Everything is available in that particular window. That is nothing but the debugging method, how we are going to adopt in that particular Cortex M3 processor. And all these contents will be available in front on the screen, registers and memory accesses, the profiling and trace. A debug interface module is decoupled from the core, and a bus interface called the debug access port is provided at the core level. By using this bus architecture, we are going to use what? Same thing, that ARM processor kit, we are going to connect to this particular system PC, where we are going to find this IDE, the development environment. So through this port, that is debug access port, the control of this bus interface is carried out by a debug port. We are going to name that one as the DP device. The chip manufacturers can choose to attach one of these DP modules to provide the debug interface. So whatever the access of the controlling of that particular bus, it is through one port, that is debug port. Within the Cortex M3 processor, a number of events can be used to trigger debug action. The debug events can be breakpoints, watch points, fault conditions, or external debugging request input signals. So within the Cortex M3 processor, the number of events will be triggered to perform the debugging operation at the PC. When a debug event takes place, the Cortex M3 processor can either enter halt mode or execute the debug monitor exception handler. So these exceptions we will discuss in the next slide. The triggers, what we are going to observe. We are going to discuss those things in the next slide. So here it is going to be there in the execution, the debug monitor exception handler, or by itself it is going to in the halt mode. The data watch point function is provided by the data watch point and trace unit in the Cortex M3 processor. Nothing but in the debugging environment, if you come to lab, you will come to know in the Keel software, all these facilities, the debugging support is available. It is in maybe in different levels, that is instruction breakpoints, the data watch points, register and memory accessing, profile and tracing. All those things will be done when you are working on debugging that particular processor. Then the processor may be in halt mode or execute the debug monitor exception handler. Okay. Means it is nothing but the interrupt which is going to be executed by that particular processor. So this is about brief introduction about the debug support. Next, we are going to find the registers. The next concept is about registers. So here we are going to find a set of registers which are used by this ARM Cortex M3 processor. So they are categorized into various categories. Here we are going to find some registers which are labeled as named as R0, R1, R2, R3, R4, R5, R6 and R7. These are register banks which are going to act as general purpose registers. R0 to R7, they are categorized as general purpose registers, or sometimes they are considered as low registers. Low registers. We have another set of registers, register bank, and the registers named as R8, R9, R10, R11 and R12. So these 5 registers, the first 8 registers from R0 to R7 are general purpose and they are considered as low registers, and some more general purpose registers, those are R8 to R12, that is 5 set. A set of 5 registers, general purpose registers, they are considered as high registers. Then another set is there which is having only 3 registers, and these are not general purpose registers. The name may be the continuation of the register name, but here the function, it is different. These are not general purpose registers. They are used for specific function. So general purpose registers are R0 to R12. So there are totally 13 number of general purpose registers are available in the Cortex M3 processor. Then comes R13. R13 is only one register, but because of its 2 functions, here it is shown 2 types, okay, with the 2 diagrams. Actually, it is only one register, R13. It may be used as main stack pointer, or it may be used as process stack pointer, or generally R13 is a stack pointer. Keep it in mind. R13 is a register which is perform the stack pointer operation. Hence, the name of this R13, it is stack pointer. In Cortex M3 processor, it has 2 stack pointers. It has 2 types of stack operations, and those stack operations are main stack operation and process stack operation. So to perform such various stack operations, we need 2 types of stack pointers, and only one stack pointer. We are going to use another register for setting the condition. This stack pointer is working for in which mode? It is working for main stack operation, or it is performing process stack operation. Hence, here it is shown double 2 times. It is repeated 2 times because of 2 types of stack pointers are available in the ARM Cortex M3 processor, but it is only one register. R13 is only one register. 2 separate operations we can fetch from this register. One is MSP, another one is PSP. Another register is there, R13 onwards, it is R14, which is going to act as link register. So we are going to discuss in detail about these things in the next slide. So it is another register, it is R15, which is known as program counter, PC we may say. So the total with the name of register R, the registers which are named as R series. Here R0 to R7 are low register under the category of general purpose registers, and R18 to R12 they are general purpose registers which are considered as high registers. Register 13, it is stack pointer because of two separate stack operations we have displayed here. We may use this R13 as MSP or we may use R13 as CSP. And another register, it is a link register. Physically, it is named as R14. Another register, it is R15, which is going to act as a program counter, PC. Then we have some special registers in this Cortex M3 processor. And these special registers are program status register. Program status registers. Means once again it has a combination of many registers. XPSR. XPSR, here also we are going to find separate 3 registers. The combination of all these 3 is considered as X series, XPSR or PSR series. Interrupt mask registers, we are going to find 3 types of interrupt mask registers. IMR we may say. Interrupt mask registers. There are 3 types. One is pre-mask, fault mask, and base pre registers. XPSR register, program status register, interrupt mask register, that is pre-mask, fault mask, and base pre registers. And another register which comes under the category of special registers, it is control register. It is the name of that register, it is control. Okay, this is the register set which is available in the Cortex M3 processor. Let us begin with a brief introduction about these registers, how they are used in programming to program the ARM Cortex M3 processor. So here we begin with the set of low registers which are from R0 to R7, 8 register set. Low registers which are act as general purpose registers from R0 to R7. The same thing, whatever we have discussed, it is displaying on the screen. It is also called low registers. They can be used for general purpose. And in the previous class, we discussed about some instruction. These are all accessed by the 16-bit previous version instructions, 16-bit thumb instruction and 32-bit thumb 2 instructions. They are all 32 bits. All these registers sizes are 32-bit size registers. The reset value is unpredictable. Once you reset, it may be any unpredictable value. So means these registers are available for both instructions. The instructions which are going to support 16-bit and the instructions which are going to support 32-bit operations. Okay, so there we may use for general purpose these register set. And another register set, it is high register set, which is ranging from general purpose registers ranging from R8 to R12. These are known as high registers. and these are accessed by thumb2 instructions. But these registers are also support some selected 16-bit thumb instructions. So thumb instruction nothing but it is a set of instructions what the ARM industry is going to label. Okay, they are going to mention that one is the thumb instructions. So these thumb instructions may be of 16-bit size or maybe 32-bit size. So this ARM Cortex-M3 is going to support thumb2 instructions, nothing but both 16-bit and 32-bit. So here these register set which are available in that processor, that is high registers, they are purely supported by 32-bit instructions, not all 16-bit instructions. These registers are also of size 32 bits, and the value once the ARM processor is reset, the value present in these registers may be unpredictable. Okay, so these registers are only used by 32-bit instructions, only some selected 16-bit instructions. Okay. Then comes a particular register which is going to perform a specific task. Here it is a stack pointer. The register number is R13. So R13 is the stack pointer. Generally, it is known as SP. In the Cortex-M3 processor, there are two SPs. As I said, here the two separate stack memory we may develop because of these two SP. The next one it is link register. So in future SP operations we are going to discuss in next slide. So it is just an introduction about how the stack pointer is there available in the Cortex-M3 processor. It is a R13 register which has dual function. Another register R14 which is going to act as a link register. This R14 inside an assembly program we can write it as either R14 or LR. So while writing the assembly code, we may use this label, the name of that particular register, LR or R14, like instruction move R14 comma some another register R0, like that, assembly code. So while working on this assembly, writing the assembly code, we may use this register as R14 or LR, and this LR is used to store the return program counter value. The program counter when it is moving from the main program to the subroutine. What is this program counter? Program counter is nothing but what? The next register what we are going to discuss, it is program counter. What is this program counter? It is nothing but it is going to hold the address of next instruction to be executed, PC. The return value, once it is moving from main program to subroutine, the compiler has to come back to the main program. After completion of that subroutine, it has to come back to the execution of remaining statements in the main program. So where that it has to move, how the PC has to move, the return value, the return address of this program counter is going to be stored in this link register, and a subroutine or a function is called. Okay, so the main purpose of this link register is when the PC is moving towards execution of subroutine or a function, the return value of this program counter is going to be mentioned in this LR, link register, or R14 register. This program counter R15 is the program counter. So it is used to access the code which is going to be executed in next. Okay. The special registers, nothing but special purpose registers. These are program status registers, interrupt mask registers, and control registers. What is this XPSR? Program status register we have, once again, as I said, it is a combination of some set of registers. Those are labeled as application, interrupt, and execution. Application, interrupt, and execution program status registers. Means this XPSR is subdivided into three sets of special program status registers. One register is acting for application, another register is working for interrupt, another register is working for execution. Nothing but the program status, as we are going to observe that name indicates the program status, nothing but while executing, the compiler is executing line by line, the assembler is executing line by line codes. Once the code is executed, the respective, that is nothing but a program, the respective program is going to return the answer. Nothing but status. The status of that after executing the program, what is the status of the processor or the program? Those things will be kept in the bitwise data. Those results, the status are kept in the respective registers or the set of bits. Here, the application program state register, APSR, which is once again 32-bit register, which is going to be holding the result of NZCVQ. The explanation of this one will be in the next diagram. So it is going to hold the status of the program after the execution in the form of NZCVQ, and these are available in the bit numbers 27 to 31. The bit numbers from 27 to 31, they are used by this APSR to maintain the program status. And what about lower bits from 27 below? They are unused. These are unused in this particular register. Next, another register, it is known as interrupt program status register, IPSR, which is going to use for exception numbers, interrupt numbers. Okay. Which interrupt is occurred after executing that particular program, that particular code. So to maintain that exception number, the IPSR is going to use bits from 0 to 8. From 0 to 8, the bits are used by this IPSR to maintain program status about interrupt, about interrupts. What about higher bits in this IPSR? From 9 to 31, they are unused. Next register, it is execution program status register, which is the subsection of this XPSR, which is going to store the results of execution. That is ICI or IT, T and ICI bar IT, which are used in the respective bits from 10 to 15, number 24 and 25 and 26. And remaining bits are unused. So the total combined program status register, that is XPSR, the combination of all these three, APSR, IPSR and EPSR, combinedly they are known as XPSR. It is that is nothing but 32-bit register. There we are going to have all the status of program execution. So the three PSR can be accessed together or separately using the special register access instructions. So how we need to access this particular XPSR? Combinedly or separately? As separate as nothing but I want to use only APSR. Then we need to concentrate in the XPSR register only these 5 bits. In the XPSR, if we concentrate on only 5 bits from 27 to 31. So which register I am observing? It is APSR. If I concentrate in the XPSR register only the bits from 0 to 8, means I am concentrating on IPSR. If I am accessing the bits from 10 to 15 and 24 and 25, 26, then I am accessing EPSR register. So by using some of the registers, some of the instructions in the assembly code, it is MSR and MRS. So in the next module, we are going to discuss the beginning of instruction set. Here we are talking about only register set. Next, how to use these registers, that is nothing but by coding. So the coding we are going to use assembly code. Assembly code are written by using the assembly instructions for using mnemonics. So the mnemonics is just an introduction. Here we are going to use for reading and writing. We have two instructions, that is MSR and MRS. Example, it is if I want to use the particular labels are also register labels or names are also available for programming purpose. If I want separately the XPSR in the name of APSR, yes, APSR I can use. Means the register values of the bit values of XPSR from 27 to 31. Only those are copied into R0. So the instruction MRS is going to read the flag contents of XPSR into the register R0. If I want to read the content of IPSR, the instruction which is available, it is MRS R0, comma IPSR. Read interrupt state. I want to read what is the execution. It is MRS R0, comma EPSR. If I am just concentrating on only on execution program register content. If I want to write, I may use the reverse process. It is done by using this MSR instruction. MSR APSR, comma R0 means here the value of R0 is going to be stored in APSR flag register. Means these flag status are going to be updated by writing the value in the APSR register. So we have these flag status. N means negative. After execution of that particular instruction, if the answer is negative, that is indicated in the form of flag, and that flag is mentioned in the bit number 31 in particular register, that is known as application program status register, APSR. Z, if the result of execution of that particular instruction, the result is a 0, then it is mentioned in the name of flag, that is Z flag, and it is a bit in the APSR. C, carry or borrow. V, overflow. Q, sticky saturation flag. Then ICI or IT, interrupt continuable instruction or if then instruction status bit. T is thumb state. It is always 1. Trying to clear this bit will cause a fault exception. Means what? T indicates thumb state. Which thumb instruction it is. If I am using particular instruction, after execution, the processor want to know. Means it want to maintain the status of that execution results. If the thumb is, it is which type of instruction? It is thumb instruction or a thumb 2 instruction. Thumb 2 instruction nothing but 32-bit instruction, or thumb instruction, that is 16-bit instruction. Those things are maintained in the T flag, which is available in the execution program status register. Then exception number, that is IPSR content. The IPSR content, which is going to mention exception number, indicates which exception the processor is handling, which interrupt it is going to be executed by this particular processor. Okay, all these means the complete activity after running the program, after running the instruction, the results will be different All those different results are known as flags, and those flag bits are going to be stored in the form of program status registers, which are of three types. One is APSR, IPSR, and EPSR. Then we discussed about the interrupt mask registers. There are three types. One is pre-mask, fault mask, and base pre registers. And these are used to disable exceptions. These are used to disable the interrupts. The pre-mask and base pre registers are used for temporarily disabling interrupts in timing critical tasks. And these two registers are used for disabling interrupts in a timing critical task. Obviously, if I go for the execution of these processes in the previous model, we discussed with some examples: round robin method, priority method. Okay, in those concepts, what we are going to concentrate? Interrupt nothing but what? It is a set of instructions to be executed by withholding or halting the current running process, isn't it? So, to perform that thing, what is the thing we need to perform? We need to generate the interrupts. So, if one interrupt is already running in the processor, if another request comes from another interrupt based on the priority or based on the round robin, we need to disable some interrupts, and we need to allocate all the resources to another interrupt. So, to perform all these tasks, we need to use these register set, pre-mask and base pre registers, for temporarily disabling the interrupts. An OS could use fault mask to temporarily disable fault handling when a task has crashed. So whenever there is a crash in the task, then the OS is going to utilize this particular register, that is fault mask register, to disable that respective fault. So these are the discussion about this pre-mask register. It is a 1-bit register. The size of this register is only 1 bit. Pre-mask, and this is set, and this register is set, means this particular bit means only 1 bit, nothing but we have only two values, 0 or 1, set or reset. Set means 1, reset means 0. If it is set, means the value of this bit is 1, then it allows non-maskable interrupts. When OS is running, is executing instructions, if any non-maskable interrupt occurs, what is this non-maskable interrupt? We can't mask, we can't neglect this interrupt. When it comes, immediately we need to take the action. If this interrupt occurs in the processor has to stop, halt its current running work, and it has to hand over the control to that particular interrupt, which is non-maskable. This is very important for the program execution. Okay, means how to allocate, how to mention in the processor, in the controller, how we need to mention this one. It is done through this setting the value of this particular pre-mask register. When it is 1, means when it is set, it allows a non-maskable interrupt and the hard fault exception. All other interrupts and exceptions are masked. So maskable interrupts are not allowed in this particular setting. The default value is 0. It means no masking is set. So whenever we need to write a program for a particular processor, when processor receives a non-maskable interrupt, whether it is going to be entertained or not, that is known by this setting the value of pre-mask register value. Another register, it is fault mask, a 1-bit register. Once again, the size of this register is one bit. When this is set, it allows only the non-maskable interrupts, and all interrupts and fault handling exceptions are disabled. The default value is 0, means it has no mask. Base pre, a register of up to 8 bits. It depends on the priority level implementation. So some of the processor ARM series, we are going to find it, this base pre register is going to be varied, bit size is going to be varied. It is up to 8 bits, from 1 bit to up to 8 bits, depending on the bit width implemented for priority level. So it defines the masking priority levels. So non-masking interrupt, we may say. So once again, there is a priority. Okay, because if I go for one of the examples, say the real-time example is when the system is on, when computer is on. Suddenly, if someone is going to press the power button or restart button, then what processor OS has to do? Whether to entertain those are called as the interrupt, disturbances to the system. If either of these two buttons, power button or the restart button has pressed, so which one is going to be entertained first? It is power button or restart button. It is based on the priorities allocated to each interrupt. These are ranging from 0 to 255, isn't it? So there is a priority we are going to assign. So it defines the masking priority level. Okay. So when this is set, it disables all interrupts of the same or lower level. The high priority interrupts can still be allowed. So if this is set to 0, the masking function is disabled. If the value of all these bits, 0 to 8 bits, 1 to 8 bits are 0, means no masking. If any particular number is there, below that number, let me say 12. If base pre register value is 12, means the priority level is 12. Means the processor is going to entertain all the interrupts which are above 12 and 12. Which are lesser than 12, they are not executed. Not executed. They are disabled. So this is the functioning done by this use of control, this interrupt mask register that is known as base pre. The functions are available in the device driver library, like so. All these things will be available in the library. So if I want the high level programming, I may use these registers. I may access these registers for reading purpose with the instruction set. It is x equal to underscore get underscore base pre. These are the functions which are going to receive high-end programming. Okay, high-level language programming, not assembly level language. In the high-level language, we may use these registers in this fashion: to read, get method; to write, to set method. Okay, x equal to get base pre means the value of this base pre is going to be stored in the x variable. The value of pre-mask is going to be stored in x variable in the second instruction. Third instruction, get fault mask, means the content of fault mask register is going to be stored in x, is going to be read in x register, x variable. Okay. If I want to write the values in that particular register, I want to modify the base pre-register values. Then how I need to set? By using the high-level language programming underscore set underscore base pre with value which is available in a particular variable. Set pre-mask x, set fault mask x. If I want to have assembly level coding instead of high-level coding, I may use MRS and MSR instructions, like to read MSR, to write MSR. MRS for reading and MSR for writing with available register set, general purpose registers. So to read a base register, MRS R0, base pre. To read pre-mask, Same example with register name is going to be changed. MRS R0. Here R0 is only as an example. Keep it in mind. As we are using X as a variable as an example, here also, here in the example, what it is mentioned, it is just considered as an example. You may use any register, general purpose register, R0 to R12. Okay. If you want to write, we need to use the instruction. It is MSR. The value in the particular register, it is going to be stored in where? In the interrupt mask register, base pre or pre-mask or fault mask. So this is about the register set. The general purpose register, specific purpose and special purpose registers. Next we have the last register which is available in the special register. It is the control register. The control register is used to define the privilege level and the SP selection. As I told, SP is stack pointer. We have two functions. Two types of stack are available in this Cortex M3 processor, and this register has 2 bits. It is the size of this control register is only 2 bits. The first bit and second bit. If I go for second bit, that is control second bit, that is control 1, control 0. Control 0 is nothing but the lower bit, control 1 is the higher bit. Okay, the higher bit is used for stack status. Stack status is observed in this control 1 bit. So if it is set, it is going to mention it is alternate stack is used. Alternate stack is used. If it is 0, the default stack is used. There are 2 stacks. Okay. The one stack, if you want to use the basic stack, that is nothing but this particular bit will be mentioned as 0. If we want to use alternate stack, not regular stack, then we need to mention this bit as 1. So if it is in the thread or base level, the alternate stack is used. That is program stack pointer, PSP, program or process stack pointer. There is no alternate stack for handler mode. So this bit must be 0 when processor is in the handler mode. Then another bit, it is the lower bit, control 0. It is for privilege. The privilege for thread mode. 0 privileged reset means privileged in thread mode, and 1 means user state in thread modes. So in the next slide, in future slide, we are going to discuss about what are the modes. Okay. So these are the applications of this control register. Control register, it is a 2-bit. The higher bit is used for stack purpose to know the status of the stack. The regular stack is used or alternate stack is used by the processor. Then comes the lower bit of this control register. The lower bit, it is for privilege in the thread mode. Okay. To access this one, we have the higher end programming, high level programming. In the C, we may use this one as a X equal to get control for reading the control register value. To set, we may use set control function. For assembly, we use for reading M R0 comma control. These are all the examples. Then MSR for writing the values into control register, control comma R0. So these are the examples. So in the next model, we discuss about all these instruction sets. Okay, varieties of instructions. We have only the discussion about the register set now. Okay. So in the next verse, we talk about exceptions and interrupts.